By deep winter, St. Louis was covered in a snow blanket, and the Cardinals' playoff chances were locked in a deep freeze. 1977 proved to be a bitterly disappointing year for a team accustomed to being in the thick of the fight for a championship. September was a cruel month for the Cardinals. At Mile High Stadium in Denver, the Broncos' Orange Crush defense shut out St. Louis 7-0 in the season's opener. Cardinal hopes melted as they lost 3 of the first 4 games. The offense, a bellwether in past seasons, rarely flashed the long-distance plays that have become its trademark. In truth, the attack degenerated into a helter-skelter scattershot affair as St. Louis ran headlong into one stone wall after another. And so, as they limped along on one cylinder, the defeats lamely followed. There was no mystery for the disastrous start. The Cardinals had simply lost their offense and desperately had to find it. The Cardinals' record stood 1-3, and their dreams appeared empty as a gutted fish. In Philadelphia, the Eagles sensed an opportunity to kick St. Louis when it was down. However, where once there was inconsistency and uncertainty, the Cardinal offense proved precise and sure. Under Jim Hart's leadership, the chaotic Cardinals became the cardiac Cards again, as they built a big lead, then coasted to victory. Ike Harris scored from 38 yards out, and Terry Metcalf sashayed to another 6-pointer as St. Louis defeated Philadelphia 21-17. The team evened their record at 3-3 the next week by blowing away the New Orleans Saints 49-31. Mel Gray caught 2 scoring passes, but the most notable performance was turned in by number 24, Wayne Morris, a second-year running back who scored 4 touchdowns. Behind the blocking of number 64, All-Pro guard Bob Young, Morris found a straight line was the shortest distance to 6 points. While Morris and the offense carried the Cardinals to victory over New Orleans, it was tackle Mike Dawson and the defense that buried the New York Giants on Halloween night. The front 4 caved in Joe Pisarcic's protective pocket, swarmed to the point of attack, and bounced him from pillar to post. The opportunistic Big Red defense caused 5 turnovers, 3 of them interceptions by Lee Nelson, Mike Sensabaugh, and number 22, Roger Worley. Sensabaugh's interception was turned 79 yards in the opposite direction, and the touchdown transformed the game into a 28-0 rout of the Giants. On Halloween night, when mere mortals creep back into the shadows, the dark belonged to the St. Louis Cardinals. However, it was high-level football, not hobgoblins, that was responsible for their 4th victory in a row over the Minnesota Vikings. The stingy Cardinal defense allowed only 7 points as St. Louis handed the Vikings their worst home defeat in 9 seasons. Behind their matchless offensive line, Cardinal running backs rushed for over 300 yards, 187 of them coming from the flying feet of Wayne Morris. St. Louis scored early, easily, and often as they defeated the Vikings 27-7. After their horrendous start, they had roared back, and after 8 weeks, their 5-3 record put them back into contention for a spot in the playoffs. On Monday night at Texas Stadium, the Cardinals' 5th win in a row looked seriously in doubt as the Cowboys built a 17-10 lead in the 3rd quarter. The defense was told to toe the line, and they did not allow another point. On offense, it was just a matter of time until Mel Gray burned a hole in the Cowboy defense. Gray's touchdown tied the game at 17. And then Jim Hart iced victory with some sleight of hand. Jackie Smith, the old pro, climaxed the 24-17 victory as St. Louis won their 5th in a row and handed the Cowboys their first defeat of the season. The landslide of victories and spiritual momentum seemed to be irreversible. And there was a growing feeling among the St. Louis Cardinals that nothing could stop them now. But back in St. Louis, the blood rush of optimism between fans and team was jolted when the Philadelphia Eagles took a 16-0 lead in the 3rd quarter. What transpired from that point on was vintage cardiac Cardinals, a simply stunning comeback. First, Jim Otis shoveled himself off the bench and dug into the Eagle end zone. Then Mel Gray did what he does best, ghosting into the secondary, then reappearing with a touchdown. Gray caught 142 yards worth of passes in the 2nd half alone, and his 69-yard spectacular cut the lead to 16-14. With just 44 seconds remaining, Otis rammed in his 2nd touchdown for sweet number 6 in a row and a glorious 21-16 victory. But the smiles of November chilled in December as the Cardinals lost to the Dolphins and Giants and faced a must-win game with the Washington Redskins in the season's 13th week. By this point in time, even the steady foot of Jim Bakken, the 4th leading scorer of all time, could not stem the flow of defeats, for injuries had swallowed many key starters. The Redskins led 26-13 in the 4th period, and several Cardinal miracles were on desperate order. Terry Metcalf's 68-yard catch and run narrowed the lead to 26-20. And with time dying, Jim Hart threw up a prayer that might stretch St. Louis into the playoffs. The prayer flew into the hands of Eddie Brown, and on December the 10th, the 1977 season and the playoffs lay shattered in the end zone. For the 2nd straight year, the St. Louis Cardinals and their fans faced the harsh reality that one critical loss ruptured the hard work of a long season. So the Cardinals set out to find the one man who would restore the team to a challenging position in the race for the Super Bowl. The man selected is simply a coaching legend. His name, Bud Wilkinson.
I think anyone who's ever been around an athletic team understands the depth of the emotions, the vibrancy of the experience, and if you've ever been involved, it's really unlike any other human relationship. And I had enjoyed the things that I'd been doing, but had always missed that, and I'm just delighted to have the opportunity to return to football with the Cardinals. While I've never coached a pro team before, and while I recognize how tough the game is, how highly sophisticated it is, how well coached every team is, I don't feel that there's a gap there that can't be reasonably well closed if our coaching staff will come together.
In 1947, the 31-year-old Wilkinson was named head coach at Oklahoma, where he would remain through 1963. His teams once won 47 straight games, a record none has ever matched. And they also won an unprecedented 73 consecutive conference games. His teams won 2 Sugar Bowls, 4 Orange Bowls, 3 national championships, and went through 5 unbeaten seasons. Impeccable credentials for an imposing assignment.
The season is so long, the tensions are so extreme that you must be yourself all of the time. If you're trying to coach the team the way you think Vince Lombardi would have coached the team, or the way you think someone else would have coached the team, the chances are you will lose the basic honesty, fundamental relationships that are necessary if you're going to go through this long season and have everybody hopefully at their best all of the time. So I don't know how to coach a team other than my way, and hopefully it'll work out okay.
The Wilkinson way led the Sooners to 12 straight conference titles between 1948 and 1958 and produced 36 All-Americans. He introduced the 5-2 defense to all of football. It's now called the 3-4 defense and is still considered revolutionary. On offense, his style was exciting, wide-open football featuring flawless execution and jackrabbit fast players. His players were a roll call of who's who in college football history: McPhail, Vessels, Crowder, Tubbs, Kreischer, Catlin, McDonald, and a legion of others contributed to a record of 145 wins, 29 losses, 4 ties, and a plateau of greatness. The main task for Bud Wilkinson will be to build a defense that plays aggressively and commands respect. There are already many players that fit this description, and 3 of them are linebackers. Number 57, Mark Arneson, plays outside linebacker, a position that demands intelligence, toughness, and above all, a nose for the football. Mark Arneson possesses all of these qualities. To go with Arneson, the Cardinals possess 2 other hard-hitting young backers, number 55, Eric Williams, and number 56, Tim Carney. The lifeline of the defense is the secondary. Roaming far and wide are players like Perry Smith, Lee Nelson, and the Cardinals' sure-handed center fielder, safety Mike Sensabaugh, number 20. Playing head up on the dangerous wide receivers is all-pro cornerback Roger Worley, number 22, who was 3rd in the NFC with 5 interceptions. By far the most pleasant surprise on defense in 1977 was second-year cornerback Lee Nelson, number 38. As the new starter, Nelson was picked on every game by the top quarterbacks and leading receivers. But by game's end, he had chopped them all down to size. It is the big men up front that dictate the ebb and flow of a football game in the NFL. This is the first line of defense, and it is here that domination of the scrimmage line takes effect. Next season, the Cardinals are counting heavily on number 63, John Zook, to become a constant pain in the quarterback's pocket. Mike Dawson, number 73, is a very quick 270-pound tackle. And from whistle to gun, he was the most consistent player on the Cardinal rush line and is only a season away from the Pro Bowl. To team with the mighty Dawson, the Cardinals acquired a man who has led the New Orleans Saints in sacks for 5 years. His name is Bob Pollard. His nickname, Captain Crunch. He wears number 82, a number that is quite well known to most quarterbacks in the league. Pollard is not only strong and agile, he's also very quick, a fact borne out by this 50-yard touchdown against the Chicago Bears. The addition of Bob Pollard gives the Cardinals a game breaker on defense, one of the principal ingredients of winning football the Wilkinson way.
You've got to be able to run the football, you've got to be able to throw the football, and in order to get the ball, you've got to be able to stop people. Very hard to win if you get the ball receiving kickoffs. So I don't think the fundamental philosophies have changed a great deal. The Cardiac Cardinals have come from behind, and they've been very, very close going down to the wire all of the time, and that makes it awfully exciting for the fans, but that's very trying on the coaching staff.
Quarterback Jim Hart is synonymous with the garrison finishes of the Cardiac Cards. He is a superb tactician and passer, well protected by an offensive line consisting of Bob Young, Keith Wortman, tackles Roger Finney, and perennial All-Pro Dan Deardorff. At the hub is All-Pro center Tom Banks, who opens the door to touchdowns for running backs Wayne Morris, Jerry Latin, Jim Otis, and six-point specialist Steve Jones, number 34. The heavy-duty running next season will come from Wayne Morris, number 24, who rushed for almost 700 yards and scored 8 touchdowns in 1977. Morris possesses the fastest takeoff in pro football, a gift that explodes him into the secondary on draw plays and screen passes. In number 85, Mel Gray, and number 88, J.V. Kane, the Cardinals boast 2 premier receivers. Kane is just reaching the potential that made him the Cardinals' #1 draft choice several seasons back. Kane is most dangerous from in close, where his size and athletic ability make him an imposing target. Next to Kane is Abel, Mel Gray by name, and certifiably the most dangerous deep threat in the NFL. In 8 seasons with the Cardinals, number 85 has averaged an incredible 20 yards per reception. And there is no cornerback in the game who can stay with him step for step. With a runner like Morris and receivers like Gray, Kane, and Pat Tilley, the Cardinals blend the ingredients of a diversified offense.
The Cardinal record over the last few years indicates that this is a team of strong capabilities, and everybody is looking for the Super Bowl. The immediate priority we have is to become very well organized in our coaching staff, and then to understand our players and have the players know and understand the coaching staff, and then hopefully come together to maximize all of the abilities we have. And that's going to be our purpose from now on.
The St. Louis Cardinals under Bud Wilkinson will be a highly organized and motivated football team. He knows the game has not changed in his absence. The team that blocks, hustles, and tackles the best is always the victor. The Cardinals, like all Wilkinson teams, will do these things well, and next season, guard Terry Steve and 1977's number 2 draft choice, George Franklin, will join them. Make no mistake, the challenge for the Cardinals is an enormous one. They are in a division with the world champion, the Dallas Cowboys, a young team that, as Wilkinson noted, did not graduate any seniors. Bud Wilkinson will take the Cardinals to the summit in pro football, and he'll do it in style. What more can anyone ask?